I think that most of you will agree that Dota's esport is a bit different from any other game's esports. You see, Dota just so happened to have a biggest prize pool of all times in one of its tournaments that takes place once a year.
$160 million of fucking tournament pricing, dude, really?
Or maybe used to have. Regardless, winning a TI was a dream of any pro player, since it's the most prestigious trophy of the esports. Because you get the life-changing amounts of monies, as well as glory. People and other pro players will start to admire you, and Valve will even produce a movie dedicated just about you. And of course, you will be immortalized in the ages inside of the Dota game. In all that goodness just for winning a single tournament. There was always a special attitude towards the TI winners, like to a person that proved his importance to the Dota history. But today we're not going to talk about these people. I mean, you probably know them even without my help. What we are going to talk about is about the people who played competitive Dota for years on the highest levels, about those that were worthy of immortalizing themselves on the ages, and had multiple chances to do so, but were never able to achieve it. I would like to refer to them as Dota Uncrowned Kings. Arteezy, one of the most popular Dota players of all time, our beloved TYBW. He is one of the most popular players for a reason, because for his long 9 years of playing in Pro Dota, his persona created a massive amounts of highlights, storylines, and, of course, memes. He started playing back in the 2013 with an explosive performance as a stand-in for the speed gaming at MLG Columbus, where he managed to stomp the legendary at that time mid players such as Dandy and Mushi, and he ended up winning his first LAN tournament as a stand-in. Even today, it's hard to say that Arteezy is a bad player by any means, as he successfully keeps playing on the most prestigious tournaments. But it's not a secret that it is his first years of competition that were the most impactful on the Dota scene. His uncomparable at that time individual skills single-handedly changed the way teams treated mid lane. Before Arteezy it was mostly used as a ganking role, but our Arturito Babayevsky showed how to carry the game from mid with his impeccable farming patterns and the solid laning skills. And of course, let's not forget his golden streams.
We fucking lost. We fucking lost. Yeah, we lost. What the fuck is going on?
It was a perfect combination of individual skills with a goofy attitude that captivated thousands of people to his stream. And it's not a secret that it is Arteezy and his streams that inspired a whole generation of mid players to play competitive mid lane. Sumail, No One, Turn to Tokyo, they all claimed to be inspired by Arteezy at some point. But despite of all of those factors, Arteezy never got to win not just a TI even once. Arteezy has never won none of the Valve produced tournaments whatsoever. You see, even though Arteezy was in quite a few extremely season dominating rosters, he never got to taste the sweetness of a big victory. As in TI4, he got the 3rd place, losing to a Chinese mastodons that adapted perfectly to the infamous TI4 Deathball meta. For TI5 he left his home of EG in order to join in the most all-star team of Dota's history, hoping to steamroll the TI. Team Secret had Puppy, Arteezy, Zai, Kuroki and S4. But despite the all-star roster and seasonal dominance, the team fell flat due to the internal conflicts, finishing at the 7th place. Even though he kept playing at the tier 1 level in the next seasons, he couldn't perform too well in the next TIs.
What do you think is the biggest thing standing between you and the Aegis?
Artur. Yeah, my curse, I think.
In TI8, it seemed that he finally stood a good shot of lifting the Aegis with a promising roster and a good understanding of the meta, as EG did pretty well during that TI, up until the point they faced OG with their brutal handshake. And then in the losers bracket, he wasn't being able to overcome LGD, stopping one step away from the grand finals, repeating his 3rd place achievement. From the very start of his career, he never missed a single TI, meaning that he played on 8 TIs. He also played on 19 Dota majors, but he was never able to win at least one of those tournaments. And lastly about Arteezy, one random Arteezy fact. In 2017, Mia Khalifa wished Artur good luck on TI on Twitter. He got 12th place on this TI. Zai. Living in the shade of Arteezy for a good portion of his career, it's easy to forget about his ridiculous performance as a Dota 2 athlete, but don't make such a mistake. His Dota career has started in the 2013 when he transitioned from Hon to Dota 2 with PPD, where he quickly found success playing. Zai shares a big portion of the story with Arteezy, as in January 2014 he joined PPD, Arteezy, Fear and Universe to play in the future Evo Genius, where they quickly started dominating the Dota scene. Ludwig Zai Wohlberg is known as one of the best enabling players of Pro Dota. With a not greedy, space-making playstyle, he became one of the most consistent pro players in Dota 2. He might not be the flashiest player of all time, but he sure knows how to win games. And his results, they speak for themselves. He never missed a single TI in his career. And that, considering the fact that in 2015 he took a GigaChat decision of taking a 1-year break in order to finish his school. He then later revealed that a lot of people tried to talk him out of doing so, since he might never be able to return to the previous strengths, as they said, but Zai was left unconvinced. And so he took a break right after the TI5 and finished the school in 2016, which was also just in time for him to join EG at TI6, where he played maybe his strongest performance of his whole career. Like, imagine doing plays like this, just a bit later you did your finals in school.
One of the best jukes that I've ever seen was Zai. He completely lost newbie.
Around as best as possible. Zai trying to play around this Roche KP, trying to juke out the Bro Strike. He knows it's coming. Did he just do it? Oh, he's in the shot! Zai! He throws out the stall. KP, he forced out himself way, blinks back in, goes for the right click. Oh, no.
Being one of the OG sad boys, he too, of course, has a pretty quirky personality with doing plays like this.
I'm gonna walk around the entire game just spamming stun on myself for skewer. Easy game, dude.
Or like this on his stream.
Fucking idiot! Cancer!
I gotta be like that, man.
Zai, I'll suck your dick for free. You do that.
Zai is one of the most consistent pro players, as I've said earlier. He has this ridiculous feat of getting 4 times as a third place on TIs. But he never really got to play the grand finals, even though it was so close to him. At TI4 he got stopped by the Chinese deathball meta by Vici Gaming, losing to them 1-2. At TI6 he lost to the Cinderella run of Digital Chaos, losing to them with a score 1-2 again. At TI10 he lost to the TI winning Team Spirit, again losing to them with a score 1-2. And at a TI11, in the fierce fight with Team Secret, he again lost with a score 1-2. If he won at least one more map in any of this series, he would have been able to play in the TI Grand Finals. But sadly he never got to play it. At least yet. Personally, I really like Zai and his approach to the game.
Describe what it's like playing with these carries. What do you have to do to make sure that their games are good?
I just have to not have fun.
Because it's always easy to play well when the whole team plays on you, but Zai manages to play without the space really well, and he does it ridiculously consistently. And lastly, one random Zai fact. He is the creator of the infamous Arteezy Church of Babayev guild inside of the Dota.
Who is the last pro Dota player you talked to that is not on Team Secret?
Artur.
The next 3 persons that I'm going to cover are all tightly linked to the LGD tag. Somnus. Somnus, maybe, Yao is without a doubt the best Chinese mid laner of the last decade. As we got to know from his player's profile, his family was against him going pro for quite some period of time, but he managed to prove his point to his family with his results. Even though he initially struggled for a couple of years, eventually he broke into the tier 1 Dota pretty loudly, getting the 3rd place as a part of LGD team in the TI5. Also remember this guy. The guy who dominated the 1v1 tournament at Dota Asia Championship. Paparazzi has said in one of the interviews that Somnus was one of the toughest enemies to lane against at mid. And that's because maybe is considered as one of the most mechanically strongest mid players of all time. And he was the one who basically humiliated Thompson in the laning stage in the games 4 and 5 of the TI8 Grand Finals. And he made Thompson sound like this when OG were drafting a hero against maybe on mid.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I like Zeus.
We're doing Zeus, guys?
And even though he proceeded to lose both of these games, it doesn't take away his insane stomping and the laning stage. And also the TI-8 requires a thorough examination. Even though maybe has played on a bunch of TIs before, 3rd place at TI-5, 9th place at TI-6, 4th place at TI-7, it's the TI-8 that was the most bitter. You see, if not for OG's magic, 2018 had to become the LGD's year. Throughout the whole TI-8, LGD looked way better than other teams. In the finals, initially it looked as they're gonna secure it with a score 3-1, but something incredible has happened from the side of OG in the grand finals. From the insane plays to the insane comebacks, OG broke LGD this series. After this crushing final, Somnus has decided to get his rematch in the next TI. But even though LGD played TI9 solidly, it was not enough to stop neither OG or Liquid that were both in the zone this time. And he repeated his achievement from his first TI again. On the next TI, TI10, he got there as a part of Team Elephant, a team with a bad reputation that had a lot of going on with their roster during the season. Team Elephant was not operating smoothly at all at TI10, where maybe deservedly got his last place. Losing so badly to OG and having a rough times with Team Elephant must have left a scar on maybe's morale, but regardless, he managed to pull it together for the TI11, with the Team RNG this time. And coming to the TI11, RNG did incredibly great. They won 9 games in a row and had only 1 loss in the group stages. That almost secured them with an upper bracket in the playoff. But something terrible happened, something that will break Somnus mentally. During their match with LGD in the group stage, RNG had to forfeit from playing, as Somnus got a high fever. It turned out that 4 of the 5 members has got infected with the COVID-19. RNG tried to proceed playing the group stage from the hospital, leaving the only person that didn't catch COVID, Xnova, playing at LAN. But the physical state of the players was so bad that RNG proceeded to lose all of their next games. It was a truly devastating sight, seeing Xnova playing all alone in his room. And so from the first place of their group, RNG proceeded to fall into the lower bracket. And after a heartbreaking loss in the BO1 playoff against Entity, Somnus announced his retirement from the Dota pro scene with the following comment: "My youth is destined to have regrets and hard feelings, right? Thank you all for your concern and encouragement. My youth is over. Somnus out." And lastly, one random Somnus fact. In the February's interview of 2015 for Join Dota, maybe has said that LGD will get the top 3 at TI5. He then proceeded to get exactly this place at the TI5. Yo, just a quick interruption. If you watched up until now, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. And if you did, like, comment and subscribe will mean a world to me. And without the further interruption, let's get to our next Uncrowned king. Ame, does this guy even need an introduction? He is truly one of the uncrowned kings of Dota. He is probably the face of Chinese Dota today. Even though Ame is known as one of the, if not the most skilled carry player of the last years, his pro career didn't start all that smoothly. Ame's Dota pro career started back into 2015, where he struggled for a couple of years, last place in the Boston Major qualifiers, and the last place in the TI6 China qualifiers. His growth started in the October of the 2016 when he joined the LGD Gaming. Even though LGD had no results for a good part of the season, they managed to do well at TI7, where he got 4th place. But Ame's real dominance started with the golden LGD roster, that consisted of Ame, Somnus, Chalice, Xnova and FY, will dominate the 2018 season, winning most of the biggest tournaments of that year. And as you already know, TI8 was the sticking point for the LGD's roster. As I've already said, even though LGD looked unbeatable, they still lost to the OG's magic. And to be fair, from Ame's perspective, it must have been twice as frustrating. You see, even despite all of the OG's incredible plays and comebacks, LGD should have won the map 4 of the grand finals still, if not for the Gaben. In the game 4 of the grand finals, Ame has been playing Morphling against the Phantom Lancer, and he decided to go the mirror strat when you're building Manta style and Diffusal Blade, to play most of the time as a Phantom Lancer, copying his abilities. The problem was a bug that Ame didn't know existed at that time. When you're morphed into the another hero, your stats that you might get from the level up will be void after you morph back into the morphling form. This way Ame got dropped for 46 agility and strength by the Gaben in that game. And Game 4 was such a close comeback from OG that these 46 additional stats might have been enough for LGD to power through the OG's defense. And for me, Ame is a person that without a doubt deserves the Aegis the most, because he played on the 5 TIs and his record is as following: 4th place at TI 7, 2nd place at TI 8, 3rd place at TI 9, 2nd place at TI 10, and a 5th place at TI 11. And anybody who understands how difficult it is to get to even 1 TI understands how ridiculous Ame's achievements are. Ame is regarded not only as the best carry, but as the best player by many tier 1 pro players.
I think Ame is still the best carry. Played like an entire year, he played really well the whole year. And he played well at TI.
Best player in my opinion. If I had to say right now, it would be Ame.
And if you feel pity towards Ame, I can make it even worse for you, as both of the TI Grand Finals he played, he lost with a score 2-3. Also, remember when I said that LGD was meant to win the TI 8? Well, TI 10 was just like that, but on crack. If LGD were a head better than other teams at TI 8, then the new LGD were 2 heads better than the rest of the TI 10 for the most part. LGD losing on the TI 10 felt so surreal that people demanded an investigation of their coach, Xiao8, for throwing the draft on purpose. And coming to the TI 11, apparently Xiao8 was very upset by team's attitude towards the TI. And what's interesting is that from Xiao8's words, Ame was the only one of the players that took the TI seriously. Quote, "It feels like everyone is not that sad after we got eliminated, except Ame. Maybe that's because they got their girlfriends here as their company, but I literally wanted to cry after we got eliminated. But it feels like everyone doesn't think this is a big deal, except Ame and Y. That makes me so upset. I would leave this comment for your judgment." Also, Ame is rumored to take the break or even completely retire from the competitive Dota after the TI 11. And lastly, one random Ame fact. During the TI 11, Ame got matched in a pub with his old teammate Somnus from the team RNG that just got eliminated. In this pub, his old friend Somnus, that got eliminated due to the COVID issues, said to Ame to keep going. In response to that, Ame cried immediately. FY. Another member of the golden LGD roster, Xu FY Linsen, is another Chinese uncrowned king. The golden LGD roster has really been made of one of the greatest players of China. And for a very long period of time, FY has been regarded as the best support player in the world. FY's real career has started with him joining the Vici Gaming in the 2013, where he found a great synergy playing with another OG support from China, Fenrir. This combo of FY and Fenrir was so great, it was great enough to carry Vici Gaming to the TI4, where FY got a 2nd place. Vici Gaming looked unbeatable throughout the whole TI4, but in the end they lost to Newbie. But even though he didn't quite manage to win this TI, it was a still great achievement, 2nd place on his first TI played. On the next TI, he as a part of Vici Gaming proceeded to achieve the 4th place at TI5. Not as good as the last one, but still a pretty great result. And he also showed one of his best performances ever at the TI5, earning the title of F-God for single-handedly destroying the Cloud9 with his Rubik at the TI playoff. Nowadays, every support can make a lot of impact in the teamfights, but in the old Dota times, supports usually were a mega poor. And that's why this game was truly legendary, as making such amount of impact on a support was unheard of during the old Dota times. His next couple of years were not as great though, as in the TI6 he got the last place, and at TI7 he didn't even manage to qualify at all. That was until he was found in the golden LGD roster. FY has been regarded as one of the mechanically strong support players, even before joining the LGD, but in the LGD, something's clicked and FY started performing on the another level. He got the MVP trophy at the Epicenter 2018, and at the TI8, if we exclude all the OG players, it was FY who did the most amounts of highlights and least amounts of mistakes. When OG were forcing LGD to make mistakes in the game 4 and 5 of the Grand Finals, FY has been the only one who kept playing clean from the LGD. And knowing this, it hurts even more when watching this iconic moment of his loss to OG, the fireworks. After the TI-8, as a part of LGD he decided to keep playing together to get the revenge from OG at the TI-9. But as I've already said, it was not quite enough this time, as LGD got the 3rd place on the TI-9. And after the TI-9, it was clear that the golden LGD roster was over, and so FY left the team. Coming to the TI-10, he got there as a part of Team Elephant, a team with a bad reputation as I've mentioned earlier. Team Elephant was not operating smoothly at all at TI-10, and so he got the last place this year, and to be honest, pretty deservedly. That was the last time we've seen FY playing on TI, as he didn't pass the qualifiers for the TI-11. And it's clear that losing TI-8 and TI-9 went rough on FY, as even his famously mechanically clean supporting was completely not present during the Team Elephant days. But during his highs, FY looked like the best Dota player alive. And it's very bitter to see him losing 2 TI finals, especially when he was making the minimum amount of mistakes in most of the games. And lastly, one random FY fact. At the Epicenter 2018, FY got the MVP trophy, and as a trophy he got the Thanos Infinite Gauntlet. Pretty cool, right? But this is how it looks after it got shipped to FY. Alright guys, so these were the Dota Uncrowned Kings. Players that never got to live the ages, but they left as big impact on the Dota scene as the TI winners. Subscribe for the more Dota content and goodbye.